I like dolls, but I love books. All right, you got me. I love dolls too. Hello out there, all you doll-loving book nerds, and welcome to my channel, where my dolls and I sit and talk about the books we like. Sometimes it's Barbie, sometimes it's Illy, sometimes it's Monster High, sometimes it's a Disney princess, sometimes it's Must I Carry On? I feel like you get the point. Basically, my dolls and I have our own little book club. My name is Daniel, and I am the Barbie book boy. So there I was scrubbing out my mouth guard, I'm a teeth grinder, and trying to decide which pee-jams to wear for bed, when I could have sworn I felt a ghostly presence breathing down my neck. I immediately panicked. I don't want anyone to see that. Ghost or otherwise, no one should have to watch me clean out my mouth guard. But then I came to my senses and I was properly scared. Turns out it wasn't a ghost at all. It was just an errant fly buzzing around my house, which was actually kind of disappointing. I don't know, maybe a house ghost would be fun. But my house was built in the 80s, so instead of a sweeping Victorian lady hell-bent on haunting me to within an inch of my sanity, my ghost would probably have crispy bangs and blue garage door eyeshadow. Not exactly the stuff of nightmares. But either way, any ghost of mine would have to love dolls. I was left feeling a little unsatisfied by my faux ghost encounter, so I decided to take matters into my own hands by reading a spooky book. So today, my co-host and I will be diving into the dark academia book that is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. And since it's a YA, dark academia, elitist private school story, who better to help me tear it apart than...
Wednesday Addams!
That's right. The sharp-tongued little braided brat of Nevermore Academy is back to help me wreak havoc on my channel. Especially since part 2 of the new season of Wednesday premieres today. But this time, she came dressed especially fancy for this most prestigious occasion. True to her character, Wednesday is featured in a head-to-toe black ensemble that perfectly captures her mood. I'm gonna dance, dance, dance with my hands above my head, meow, meow, meow. I'm still a little baffled by that virtual crossover moment. Like, where did that even come from? Anyway, she still manages to look festive thanks to these adorable black ruffles. And while I love her shoes, I was a little perplexed as to why they chose a Yeti and an icicle for the heels. That is, until I read they're a reference to the Ravenmore dance theme of climate crisis, which feels like a little bit of a stretch to me, but I mean, I applaud the effort at creativity. But I definitely love her little poison vial earrings, which are just so on brand for Wednesday Addams. So now that we're all here and acquainted, let's get into it. Summer's over and it's back to school for all the very many kiddos, including the young ladies who attend the prestigious but creepy Dalloway School for Girls. Dalloway School has a rich haunted history that's steeped in legends and lore of ghosts and witchcraft. At first, I hoped it would be a little something like this.
We had fun when others worked, especially with bad things learned.
But it wasn't. It was actually a little more like this. Okay, maybe it wasn't that bad. But for little Miss Felicity Morrow, the new school year is gonna be, well, confronting. Because she was gone for a whole year after the tragic death of her girlfriend. But it's time she got on with her life and her education, so she returns to Dalloway in a cloud of infamy and scrutiny. So off she goes to face the judgment and scorn of her snobby little private school rich friends. Felicity moves back into her old dorm room, which probably wasn't the best idea since she's literally coming off a major trauma. And her old room is in the notorious Godwin house, which is supposedly haunted by the spirits of 5 Dalloway girls who were rumored to be witches. All 5 of these girls, simply called the Dalloway 5, were murdered consecutively right there on Dalloway school property. And the young ladies at this school have embraced its grisly past. These girls go so far as to form secret societies that have their roots in the legends of these mysterious murders from all that time ago. Sort of like sororities, but for black magic instead of like community and sisterhood. All the girls have various degrees of involvement and interest in these little secret meetings. Some take it highly seriously, while others are just in it for the fun and games. For Felicity, well, it got deep. Some of her friends at school actually say she took it a little bit too far. According to them, she took it to the point of not being fun anymore. And I get that, because black magic should be a hoot. Like, school puts enough pressure on kids. They don't need any more spilling over into their cloak and dagger pursuits of the heretical dark arts. But Felicity has learned her lesson, and she's determined not to fall down that particular rabbit hole again. But when you live in a dorm haunted by 5 mysteriously murdered witches, the temptation can be a little powerful. Especially when the enigmatic new girl is a little baddie who keeps bringing it up. See, the new girl Ellis joins Dalloway for the senior year. And everyone is all in a tizzy because this girl is a famous novelist. At 17, she's already been published, and she's being heralded as sort of a writing prodigy. So her fame follows her to school, and she quickly establishes herself as the queen bee. And all the girls are clamoring to be a part of her inner circle. Side note, when I would imagine the character of Ellis while I was reading, for some reason I always pictured Kristen Stewart, but like with a mullet and a men's powder blue 3-piece suit. So there you go, a little insight into my imagination while I was reading this book. Anyway, Felicity, like all the other girls, is inexplicably drawn to this little book writing genius, and she's obliged to work with Ellis when asked to help research the Dalloway 5 for her next book. And because of Felicity's past intensity for the subject, she's the perfect girl for the job. Until the dark history of Dalloway starts to repeat itself. And Felicity is caught up in a world of mystery with insidious revelations both about the school and herself. And that's the story of A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. So what are my thoughts? Well, the first thought I had was these little girls have absolutely way too much time on their hands. Where are all the adults? These girls don't seem to have any guidance at this supposedly prestigious boarding school. They're basically just feral, doing whatever they want and dabbling in the dark arts when they probably have homework to do. But then I guess it wouldn't be a very good book if they followed the rules of reality rather than the fun adventure that is literary escapism. So I'll try and temper my elder gay protective impulses. Speaking of, I loved the LGBTQ representation on full, unapologetic display in this book. The sapphic storyline was navigated masterfully with great aplomb. The emotional depth of these young ladies, specifically with the characters of Ellis and Felicity, was slightly at odds with my memories of being that age. At 17, all of my emotional depth was tied up in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It could be sad and deep. Anyway, Victoria Lee masterfully blurs the line between Felicity's guilt and grief, adding to the already surging hormonal teen angst. You wouldn't know anything about that, emotions and stuff. But Ellis is resourceful and super persuasive. So her ability to rope people into her little shenanigans, specifically young Felicity, plays perfectly into the mystery of what's really going on at Dalloway. And there are a lot of questions in this book concerning Felicity's past and present experiences. And I think that was my favorite aspect of this book, that question of, are these supernatural things really occurring, or is something going on in Felicity's mind? It's very reminiscent of the historical hysteria around witches and the goings-on of women who dared to think and use their minds. Remember, people, they didn't burn witches, they burned women. Anyway, the witchy themes in this book are beautifully woven together with fall vibes and the backdrop of the Catskill Mountains of New York, plus the creepy Gothic architecture of Dalloway School. This book is the perfect companion for a cozy mug of hot cider, a blanket, and a lazy lapdog. So there you have it, our thoughts on A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. Thank you so much for watching. My dolls and I are going to be doing these weekly book reviews, so if that's your thing, then stay tuned. Oh, and since you're already here, you might as well like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment for Wednesday. Tell her all of your deepest, darkest secrets. I know, tell her your favorite ghost story of all time. She always likes to hear one at bedtime. It really helps her get to sleep. Oh, have you heard the one about the hook man?